Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are wading into some pretty deep water. We're staging a philosophical duel between two absolute titans of existential thought.
That's right. In one corner, we have Jean-Paul Sartre, the champion of atheistic freedom, and in the other, Søren Kierkegaard, let's say, the terrifying prophet of religious faith.
And we're not just reading from textbooks here. Our mission today is to really distill the core of their conflict for you. We're pulling everything from this single incredible source document.
It's a fictional dialogue, but it is so sharp. It's called The Void and the Altar. And
Sure.
our whole goal is to cut through all the jargon and get to the heart of one question, really.
Yeah, how do we respond to anxiety? I mean, it is the only authentic choice to embrace this terrifying void? Or, do you submit to an equally terrifying altar?
The source just sets the scene so perfectly.
Oh, it really does. I mean, you can just picture it, right? This dimly lit old Parisian coffee house.
The air is thick with smoke, marble tabletops.
And you've got Sartre sort of lounging there, thick glasses, his pipe smoldering, looking totally, completely jaded.
And right across from him is Kierkegaard, ramrod straight in this old coat, and he has this heavy book just closed on the table in front of him.
Like a silent accusation or something.
Exactly. The tension is there from the very first line. It doesn't start with some abstract idea. It's personal.
Right. Sartre just dives right in. No, hello, nothing. He just says, stop looking at me that way.
He claims the look itself is physically oppressive, that it's making him nauseous.
Yeah, he accuses Kierkegaard of trying to, what was the phrase, perform an ontological operation on him? Like to turn him into a thing?
Into an object, yeah. He says he feels like a child is pinning a cockroach with a needle just to watch it struggle. It's so visceral.
And this really kicks everything off because Kierkegaard immediately reframes it.
He does. He agrees the pressure is real, but he says, that heaviness isn't coming from me. It's coming from inside you. It's that spiritual anxiety, that angst.
He suggests the void Sartre thinks is so liberating is really just bewilderment.
The despair of a soul that has, and I'm quoting here, sold eternity for a moment in time.
Okay, so let's unpack that right there. This is the core of the whole thing. Sartre's most famous idea. Existence precedes essence. For you listening, what does that actually mean in the real world?
It means radical responsibility. I mean, if you buy Sartre's premise, no God, no divine plan, no human nature, then we are all just thrown into the world.
That's the existence part. We just show up.
We just show up. We're just biological creatures. And it's only after we're here that we start to define ourselves through our choices, our actions. That's how we build our essence.
So you aren't born a hero or a coward. You become one.
Precisely. And Sartre in the dialogue puts it so brutally. He says, "We are here all alone. There is no director watching the play from above." Up and says, the sky is totally empty.
And for him, that's not a sad thing. It's the truth.
It's the ultimate truth, and he thinks religion is just a way to run away from it.
So how does Kierkegaard hear that, this idea of the self-made man?
He sees it as a kind of courageous self-delusion. He immediately warns Sartre, you are building a palace on soft sand.
So the whole debate comes down to this. Is meaning something we make up ourselves, moment to moment?
Or is it something transcendent and eternal that's already there, just waiting for us to find it? For Kierkegaard, that void isn't a blank canvas. It's a sign that you've just turned your back on reality itself.
It's like, do you invent the language or do you discover it?
That's a perfect way to put it.
Which brings us to the two faces of anxiety. Because for Sartre, accepting that empty sky is the only way to be truly free, but even he admits it's terrifying.
Of course. That's why he says man is condemned to be free.
Condemned. That's such a heavy word.
It is, because it means you bear the full agonizing weight of your life alone. No alibis, no excuses. If you mess up, that's on you. There's no divine plan to blame it on.
And this is why he sees God as like a moral problem.
A huge one. He calls God a crutch for cowards, an escape hatch for people who are too afraid to actually carry their own life. For Sartre to be truly free, that sky has to be empty.
But Kierkegaard also thinks anxiety is central to everything. He just sees it completely differently.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he basically invented the philosophy of anxiety. But for him, it's not the burden of freedom, it's the vertigo of freedom.
A dizziness.
The dizziness, exactly. That feeling when you stand on a cliff and realize you could do anything, you could jump. The anxiety isn't that you have to choose, it's that you realize your choices are limitless.
Okay, so what's the real difference between the burden and the dizziness?
The burden for Sartre is just the weight of the consequences. The dizziness for Kierkegaard is that without a higher purpose, without God as a compass, that anything you could do just becomes chaos.
It's a maze with no exit.
Right. Sartre says the maze is the price of freedom. Kierkegaard says the maze is proof you've abandoned the actual path.
So for you listening, the question isn't if you feel anxiety. They both agree you do. The question is, what does it point to? The need to create yourself from nothing, or the terror of being lost without a creator?
That is the perfect distinction, and it takes us right into the moral consequences, where the dialogue really heats up.
Okay, so let's talk about that staggering burden Sartre puts on people. If there are no sacred texts, no given values, you have to invent them yourself.
Right.
But the kicker is, when Sartre makes a choice, he's not just choosing for himself. He says he's choosing for all of humanity.
I mean, that's an insane amount of pressure. By choosing to do something, you're creating an image of what a human being should be.
And the source says this is why his philosophy is, weirdly, humanitarian.
Because he can't pass the buck. If he's not actively fighting injustice, he is responsible for it. There's no fate to blame. He is 100% accountable all the time.
That just sounds completely impossible to live up to.
It is, and Kierkegaard sees this whole rational, self-made ethics as just a different kind of cowardice. He accuses Sartre of being too rational too, calculated, wanting everything to fit into this cold logic. But for Kierkegaard, truth isn't a neat system. It's a struggle. He just looks up to risk.
And this is where we get to the leap of faith.
Exactly. Kierkegaard brings up the story of Abraham and Isaac, the ultimate test.
God tells him to sacrifice his own son.
And Abraham has to choose. Does he follow the universal ethical rule, thou shalt not kill? Or does he obey a command from the absolute that shatters all human logic?
So he has to choose between being a good, ethical man in society's eyes or being an individual standing alone before God.
Precisely. The leap of faith was an act that broke every rule, but it was for a higher transcendent purpose. Kay is basically accusing Sartre of hiding behind his earthly logic because he's afraid of that kind of terrifying, irrational freedom.
So Sartre has to reject this, right? I mean, his whole system falls apart if he accepts the leap.
Oh, he rejects it with total contempt. He calls it intellectual suicide. He calls it bad faith.
Bad faith, that's another huge one.
Bad faith is just lying to yourself to escape the anguish of being free. It's grabbing on to a ready-made meaning, whether it's religion or society's expectations, just so you don't have to carry the burden yourself.
So if I say, oh, I have to become a doctor because my parents expect it, that's me lying to myself about my own freedom.
That's bad faith. You're pretending you don't have a choice to make yourself more comfortable. For Sartre, any comfort you get from that is less authentic than just facing the void with courage.
Let's pivot a little to the social side of this. Sartre's most famous line, probably, hell is other people.
A chilling phrase. And the source gives us a great insight into why. In Sartre's world, without that unifying connection to God, all human relationships become a kind of competition.
A power struggle.
A fight over who gets to define whom. When I look at you, I turn you into an object in my world, and you resist that, and you do the same to me. We are locked in this constant battle for subjective dominance.
Which creates this incredible isolation. And this is where Sartre really attacks Kierkegaard in the dialogue, right?
He does. He accuses him of being totally self-absorbed, just wrapped up in his own private anxiety, his own salvation. He asks him, where are the people? Where are the poor? Where is the revolution?
He calls Kierkegaard's whole project selfish.
And Kierkegaard's defense is just profound. He quotes the Bible. What good is it for a man to gain the whole world, yet forfeit his soul? He's not concerned with the abstract masses. He's concerned with the individual's terrifying one-on-one confrontation with the absolute.
So for him, real fate isn't some comforting opiate for the masses.
Far from it. He says true Christianity is a scandal to reason, a terrifying stand for one naked individual before the absolute. He implies that's infinitely harder than sitting in a coffee shop writing plays about atheism.
That said, they do agree on some things, don't they? They're not polar opposites on every single issue.
No, not at all. They share a deep contempt for the superficial, for the false crowd, the bourgeoisie who just go through the motions.
The people who go to church just to be seen as faithful.
Or the people who toe the party line without any real conviction. They both agree that existence is a serious, solemn mission, not some pleasant vacation. They both demand authenticity. It's just that their paths to it are completely different.
So that's the ultimate fork in the road. Two totally different ideas of what the human project is.
Yeah, on one side, you have Sartre, who sees man as an incomplete project ending in worms in the dirt. The only meaning is in the struggle itself.
And on the other, Kierkegaard sees man as a project that's only completed by leaning on the power that put him here in the first place. Sartre chooses despair with courage.
While Kierkegaard chooses faith with a tremor, he acknowledges the terror of his choice, but he sees it as better than just despair.
And this all leads to that final iconic image in the dialogue, Sisyphus,
Sartre says he has to shoulder that rock of freedom all alone.
a very lonely image.
And Kierkegaard's response is just heartbreaking. He says Sisyphus is crazy if he thinks the rock is everything. It's a moment of profound sadness at what he sees as a wasted life.
And the whole thing ends with Sartre's final rejection. Kierkegaard offers a prayer for him, and Sartre just shuts him down completely.
It's the definitive final statement.
He says, "Save your prayer for yourself. I am condemned to be me. Hell is you, and your ridiculous attempts to save me."
And that's it. The curtain comes down, the light from his pipe just flickers out.
So, after all that, what does this deep dive mean for you, the listener? We're left with two equally difficult, maybe equally terrifying paths to an authentic life. So which is it? Is it the radical, lonely responsibility of the self-created man, where you are the sole author of all meaning?
Or is it the terrifying submission of the individual to the absolute, which demands a sacrifice of your own reason? Does your own anxiety, the one you feel every day, point you toward the void, or does it push you toward the altar?
Something to think about until the next deep dive.